KayFabe Smark Podcast. Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rampa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
Hey, what is going on, world? This is the KayFabe Smark Podcast. This is episode 98, coming at you live on a Friday night, April 15th, 2022. Make sure you guys hit up on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Hang out with us there, talk pro wrestling. But before we can get started, we need to check in with Mr. Eric Todd and see what's happening in his world. Eric, what is going on?
Oh, you know, same old. Well, as some of the viewers may know, Brian, you and I, we got a little side hustle going on. The podcast, it's bringing in the big bucks, but, you know, we just get bored sometimes, so we got little side hustles going on. And I am making a transition, sir. I am going to be a mailman.
Got that new gimmick.
Got that new gimmick as a mailman and reliving my character from my WWE No Mercy Nintendo 64 days. My boy Mike and I used to play that game constantly, and I created a gimmick called the letter carrier just to annoy the shit out of Mike. And now I finally get to live my gimmick in true Vince McMahon fashion.
You're the letter carrier. Yeah. The good old 1992. That would have been a gimmick. Like, he had a guy that was a garbage man. We had a plumber. We had a tax guy. I mean, why wouldn't he have had a mailman?
His name would have been, who knows what his name would have been, but mine was the letter carrier.
It made me laugh, tilt my head back, and my headphones jostled off my melon there. Well, let's get the thing started here. Let's get the show started. And, well, news usually leads us off. Where we at? Do we have news since the last time we've been here?
We do got a little bit of news going on, so I will switch my background. You will smack that ticker, and we'll get right into it.
This is the news. Eric scours the dirt sheets to find all things pro wrestling news. Let's see what we got this week.
All right, so we knew it was coming. We just didn't know when. But WWE, get your Sandstorm playing. Get your Darude CDs or cassette tapes, because WWE is going back to Saudi Arabia, and WWE will be going through that sandstorm around Halloween, either the final week of October or the first week of November. So everybody knows they do have a 10-year partnership with the Saudi General Sports Authority, and they have to do 2 events a year. And old Vinnie Mac ain't complaining about that. He's stuffing his pockets.
Yeah, I thought Sports Authority went out of business. I didn't know that they just moved to Saudi Arabia.
That's where everybody goes to make money. What's his name? Phil Mickelson, the golfer. We're going to have some more competition in the podcasting world, Brian. The Undertaker is starting his own podcast. I have a tweet from WrestleVotes here that says, in a show similar to the Broken Skull sessions, Peacock and WWE have convinced The Undertaker to enter the podcasting world. Source states his new show should begin airing within the next few months, a fascinating concept that was unfathomable just a few years back, because we all know Taker keeps it kayfabe.
Yeah. So he's doing I don't look at the Broken Skull sessions as a podcast, do you? It's like that.
Everything's a podcast now. Like, I listen to a radio show that airs live from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on an actual radio station daily, but then they upload it to iHeartRadio and call it a podcast. So I don't know. Is there a way to just listen to the Broken Skull sessions, or do you have to watch it on Peacock?
Yeah, that's what I always thought is you had to watch those on Peacock because they're going to give them away. So they make you pay for it there, but you can get the audio version for free. That's why I never took those as a... Now, the Stone Cold Steve Austin show that he used to do, that was a podcast. There was two of them.
Right.
There was the adult one and then the other, he had blah, blah, blah. So those were podcasts. I looked at those like podcasts, but the Broken Skull sessions, I don't even know if there's like I'm gonna have to look it up and see if there's a way to actually stream it or download it and have it as a podcast because that might come in handy.
Yeah. I definitely should have did some research on that, but shit happens, boys. Speaking of Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Broken Skull sessions, his next guest has been revealed, and this was kind of a surprise to me. Not that it's a huge deal or you're really breaking down the forbidden door or anything, but I just hadn't really thought of this guy going to hang out with Stone Cold because he's got his own thing going on, and that would be Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yeah, I saw that one as well. Everything that I've heard interview-wise from Bubba Ray has been pretty positive why he just, when they split and when Devon was retiring, Vince is like, I don't really know what to do with you now. What do I do? And he said Vince was backing the Brinks truck up, but they just couldn't come to a creative agreement. There's two things, right? Two C's in wrestling.
Cash and creative.
And Bubba Ray must have enough cash because he was looking for more creative. He was trying to get the Bully Ray gimmick to go WWE, but Vince is like, I have this whole anti-don't be a bully campaign. So it's really hard to have you be a bully and everything else, and they just couldn't come to an agreement. So it sounds like it was all amicable, if you will. They just couldn't come to it, so screw it.
Yep, do it to it, screw it. Bubba Ray and Stone Cold taped their episode back in March, and it actually debuts tonight, April 15th. So that might be a little something to do after this podcast. Go check out that Bully Ray interview.
Yeah, I might have to throw that on as I doze off this evening and finish it off because, well, let's be honest. Anything I turn on when I go to bed doesn't get finished. I'm snoring before the credits.
Speaking of snoring, big news in the Control Your Narrative wrestling world, Brian.
Yeah.
There's going to be a former WWE star debuting, and the world is afire about this one.
Oh, yeah? Who could it be? I don't even know. I missed this.
The former WWE star debuting in Control Your Narrative, former Madman Pondo tag-along, Sarah Logan.
The internet's afire over Sarah Logan?
No, not at all.
Oh.
That was all just...
Oh. Well, I don't know. The internet's weird these days, so they, honestly, it could have been.
She was released back in 2020, and we haven't heard shit about her. But she will be in Control Your Narrative, and she's already booked for 2 dates. She will be in Cleveland with CYN on May 13th, and then she will be in the Detroit, Michigan on May 14th with Control Your Narrative.
Yeah, I saw that. I was interested in just going to see it, but I unfortunately have plans already on the calendar. And second, it's at Harpo's, I believe. And I already did a show at Harpo's, and it was no bueno. No good. I did not care for a wrestling show at Harpo's Music Theater in the downtown hood of Detroit.
Oh, don't even associate Harpo's with downtown.
No, I guess you're right. Yeah, the off the beaten path of Detroit in a neighborhood. There's this weird concert venue. It's dirty, grimy, and you probably get robbed when you leave.
Yeah, and we went and saw what's
Game
that?
Changer, GCW.
Yeah, we went and saw GCW there, and just the whole setup was complete trash. Everybody was bitching about it on the internet. Only the people sitting in seats could see. So, yeah, it was a nightmare. I wouldn't even risk it for old Braun Strowman here.
Nope. If it was anywhere else, I'd have been definitely interested to go pay a few bucks and check it out. But we'll see what it does on the internet. I'm sure there'll be video, so we'll go from there. Any other interesting news for us?
Yeah, and evidence that Vince McMahon listens to our podcast news, it seems like Dominic Mysterio has been written off WWE television.
Just like that, huh?
Yeah, on Monday night, Veer Mahan faced Dominic Mysterio after he attacked him and his daddy the previous week on Raw. Veer made short work of Dominic and then kind of held his submission on for a hell of a long time. And they ended up having to stretcher Dominic out of the arena. And it's just kind of been a routine that when WWE has you stretchered out of a match, it's going to be a hot minute before you're back. So maybe old Dominic needs to go learn a new hold,
I was gonna say.
change his outfit, get a paint of new coat. You know how it goes.
Yep, I was just gonna say all those same things. It's time for him to go home and learn a new move. Come back in a few months, and how about he just goes home and learns a move? But we'll go.
Well, he already got put in an ambulance. So
Oh God!
as soon as he gets out of that medical facility, he'll have time to learn that hold, learn that headlock.
If he's like AEW, it could just be nowhere. He could just disappear like Shaq disappeared, and they never spoke of the gimmick again.
That was a teleportation device to
Yes.
the TNT basketball studios. Because I believe he showed up the next night and was talking about basketball. But Brock Lesnar, unfortunately, has been pulled from the WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live event. I think we all kind of saw this one coming after he lost to Roman Reigns, but he was advertised for Backlash. But the official WWE website no longer lists him as appearing, and the lineup has been updated to feature Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair. So I'm kind of bummed. I've been really high on Brock lately, and he seemed to be at the top of his game over the past couple months here. So
Yeah,
who knows what he's going to be up to if he's just back up in the mountains of Saskatchewan or whatever.
Saskatoon. I mean, Brock is a wild card too. I think literally, like they say, people can write their own ticket, and I think Brock can literally write his own ticket. Like he could just show up to a pay-per-view. He'd be like, "Hey, Vince," they'd be like, "Oh, huh, you're here. Okay, you want to win a title tonight?" Like.
Vince just keeps a briefcase handy with $1 million cash in it in case Brock Lesnar shows up.
Right, he can go out there and wing something. So this could all be a work too. They've been known to do some weird stuff, so this could just be a work, and they could be putting us on with just changing the roster around.
All right, and other news. I don't know, Brian, if Booker T has a history of using drugs, but this right here is evidence that he has started using crack cocaine because Booker T spoke on the latest episode of the Hall of Fame podcast and talked about how he believes Cody Rhodes should defeat Roman Reigns to become the WWE champion. I have a quote here.
Go ahead.
Says the quote from Booker T says, "I don't see why Cody can't take the title off of Roman in the meantime. Roman could easily get it back by the time WrestleMania comes back around. We've got plenty of time to be able to switch that back if that's the route we want to go in." But I think Booker T's roasting the rocks on that one because all the people that have tried to take this belt off of Roman Reigns, why would they choose Cody Rhodes? This might be a controversial opinion, but Cody Rhodes' return to WWE, flash in a pan, guaranteed.
Yeah, it has the possibility that the where the jump is bigger than the long term, where the moment, right? That moment was going to be the biggest thing, unfortunately, that he can't just keep up with the hype. Can they keep up the hype? Can they keep it that hot? You're right that it tells a weird story that they have had Brock and the likes of everybody else under the sun hasn't beaten Roman Reigns in a year and a half.
All you got to say is Brock. Brock Lesnar on 2 occasions couldn't beat Roman Reigns.
Right. And so now Cody's going to come back and after not even being a champion. So it's not even, and then you don't even get to put that behind it. He's been a champion all around the world. Was he?
No, like maybe in Mexico or Japan. I don't
I don't
know
even think
about
he
that,
did a
but not
Japan.
in AEW.
I don't even think he had a Japan title. He did something with Ring of Honor for a moment, but he didn't hold an AEW. Like, so I'm with you.
Former TNT champion, secondary champion, and second-rate company Cody Rhodes is going to beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a weird story, and they got to, but they do. But here is the challenge that WWE has. How do they get out of Roman Reigns? Eventually, you have to move it, right? Eventually, you have to move it. So how do you get out? How do you get out of this? Roman hasn't been beaten. Do you make it a dirty win? Now, if it goes over dirty, and he's cheating, that you could go that way. Or do you just literally kill your monster? How do you get out of that?
I think just off the top of my head, there's 3 options. 4, I guess. All right. 1 would be Brock Lesnar, but then you're in the same predicament. Who's going to beat Brock Lesnar?
Right.
Um, what's his face from Scotland? Drew McIntyre beat Brock, but that was very underwhelming when Drew McIntyre was champion. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is you have The Rock beat him at WrestleMania. I mean, shit, they had Stone Cold beat KO, and then somebody can take it off The Rock because he's 49 years old. And then the other 2 options is they both have the same start. Let Roman hold it for another year or so, and then either Walter or Brock, or not Brock, but shit, what the hell is his name? Braun. There we go. Braun Steiner.
Braun Steiner.
I think either Braun Steiner or Walter in a year will be on Roman Reigns level.
You could do that. They also have a Money in the Bank option to get out of that too, where you can pull a Money in the Bank card, which can always be altered. And they can get out of it like they did with Seth when Brock had it, when Seth won it at the WrestleMania that year. I think it was 30, where he cashed in the Money in the Bank in the middle of the match. And then it was a 3-way match, and he pinned Roman to take the title, didn't pin Brock, but Brock was a champion. So there was that weird angle that they worked that way. So there's some ways out to get out of it. They could give the Money in the Bank to Cody, and then he's running around with that for a while and cashes it in and the opportune moment, and there you go. So
yeah, basically all those options we discussed didn't involve Cody Rhodes unless it's Money in the Bank,
and that still was a
just
gimmick.
Cheap win. Yeah.
Yeah, so we shall see. But yeah, Booker just saying, hey, what the hell? Why not give it to him? You're saying that just because you want to see your crossover character have the title that he didn't do in the original company that he formed.
Yeah. And then finally, it's a very small story here, but it made me smile. And way to bury yourself there, you dickhead. News. Brian Cage revealed that NXT has rescinded their offer to him. And this is the quote from Brian Cage here. They said, "You are average at best, and we are no longer interested."
And he released that?
He released that himself. So, way to bury yourself there, dickhead.
That is an interesting thing to release on your own. You could release that, hey, you're not going, or release the news, but just to post the whole details. I didn't even know NXT was interested in him.
Yeah, it was a small story I saw a couple weeks ago, but I don't like Brian Cage, so I didn't really care about it.
There you go.
And but yeah, when the word gets around that WWE's developmental says you don't even have what it takes to be in their leagues, I don't think your price of bookings is really going to skyrocket through the roof after that one.
No, you could just release just fucking pro wrestling it and just say that you turned them down.
Yeah, Pull a MJF or something, Just pull something out of your ass.
Yeah, to say, no, I'm sticking with Ring of Honor. That's where I'm going to be. I'm not NXT. I'm Ring of Honor for life. The rumors of that are false. Some of these people need help.
They do. And that's going to wrap it for the news, Brian.
All
So
right.
slap that ticker.
That's the ticker. That's the news. Brian Cage is not good enough to go to NXT. And what the hell was some of the other news there, Eric?
Booker T thinks Cody Rhodes should be world champion.
Oh, yeah. And, well, what the hell? There you go. Oh, and what's her name is going to not Game Changer Wrestling, the other wrestling.
Sarah Logan.
Sarah Logan's going to control your narrative. Whoop-de-dee-doody. All right, it is time.
Let's play Overrated or Underrated with Eric Todd.
That's right. It's time for overrated or underrated. And this time we're going to do overrated or underrated vehicles used in an entrance in WWE. All of them happen to be WWE. So let's start this off hot here. Overrated or underrated, Eddie Guerrero coming out in the lowrider. What do you, overrate or underrate Eddie's entrance in that lowrider?
All right, so WWE really, I mean, it was the 90s or the early 2000s, but they really focused on the fact that Eddie was a Mexican, and they did some racist shit back there, having him and Chavo ride out on lawnmowers and whatnot. But lowriders are classics. They have Hispanic culture embraces lowriders, and that was a sweet looking ride. And Eddie Guerrero coming out in the lowrider, that was sick as hell. So definitely underrated.
There you go, underrating that lowrider entrance. We've got John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL, coming out in his limousine after becoming the millionaire investor JBL. What are you, overrating or underrating JBL's limo entrance?
Man, this is a tough one. I'm going to put this one right in the middle and say perfectly rated. I didn't like the JBL gimmick. Just because I was focused way too much on him being Bradshaw and with the APA and all that. But the limo with the Texas horns on the front of it just represented it perfect, and it added so much to the character. I think it's perfect right where it stands.
Yeah, I think it was perfectly rated too because it was great for the reason that it was 180-degree opposite of Acolytes, EPA, Protection Agency, all that stuff that it was. He was different now, right? It just really recreated the character. So I think it was good and it was there. I'm with you. I didn't find JBL to be. Everybody was in love with JBL in that era, and I didn't bite like that. But let's move on here and go with overrated or underrated, The Undertaker riding out in a motorcycle.
Oh, the American Badass era there.
Yeah.
I didn't like that gimmick either. I don't even think Taker was a huge fan of that gimmick, but it was kind of necessary for to help him break through as Dead Man Inc. So I think it just fit him perfectly. It fit him as well as JBL's limousine, so that's going to sit there right in the middle, perfectly rated.
All right, this one will be interesting because I already know what you're going to say, but overrated or underrated, Shotzi Blackheart driving out in a tank.
Jesus Christ, Brian! I'm glad you saved
saved it for the one of the ends.
Yeah, one of the last ones. Okay, that was the stupidest shit. That's got to be the stupidest vehicle to ever be on TV, and that beats Trent's mom's minivan. It just adds so much gimmicky, fake bullshit to the character. It's not funny. It's about as it works about as well as that new Snoozy Lou's fucking pajama and sippy cup gimmick that they got going on in NXT. So yeah, her stupid tank is overrated.
Last one here. This one's just for fun. Stone Cold Steve Austin driving out in, well, anything. What do you want to pick?
Completely underrated. Anything you pick it. Zamboni, fucking beer truck, ATV at WrestleMania 38. Anytime Stone Cold comes out, and if you see him riding out on a truck or on a vehicle or in a truck, you're just wondering what it is, and it's going to be badass. So any vehicle he picks is going to be underrated.
There you go. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Anything he drives is underrated because, well, he's Stone Cold, and that's just the way it is. And that's the bottom line. All right, that is overrated or underrated, and now we are going to dive in, tear apart, and talk about AEW and Dynamite that just happened on Wednesday, I believe.
Well, first things first, Brian, I got a surprise for you. I have a game for you, my friend.
Holy shit.
Every week you ambush me with these overrated, underrated, would you rather? I pulled this little questionnaire. It's a quick one from Straight Shoot off of TikTok here. We have a wrestler fill in the blank where I give you 5 questions and you fill in the wrestler to complete the sentence.
All right.
Number 1, blank never needed a world title to be a top guy.
Scott Hall.
I agree 100%. Blank isn't as good as everyone makes them out to be.
JBL.
We got to go current.
I'm going to go. Oh, so we're going current. Well, I mean, shit.
All right.
Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one, too. I didn't even really think these out. I just pulled them. Blank should be pulled from WWE television today.
Blank should be pulled from WWE television today. I believe he already was, but we'll say Dominic Mysterio.
That was my answer. I got this questionnaire before I got that news. Blank couldn't cut a promo to save their life.
Blank couldn't cut it. Oh. Shit. What the hell? Well, those guys in, what is it, 2.0.
Mean Matt or whatever.
I can think of their names. They changed. Let's go with 2.0. Either one of those knuckleheads.
All right. Yeah, I like that one. And then finally, blank is over, and I'm not sure why.
Let's go with currently blank is over, and I'm not sure why. I would have to say, ooh, this is a tough one for me. Who is over in? Man, what was your thought on it?
Originally, I thought Orange Cassidy, but we know why.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with Schmuck Taylor.
I was thinking anybody in the Best Friends. Honestly, was in my head. I don't want to sound like I'm copying on you, but I'll be honest. This one would definitely get me a lot of hate across the internet. If this ever leaks out and goes viral. But that Minoru Suzuki, that guy that wrestled on AEW, like he is so over, and I just don't know why. Like I don't know why somebody just doesn't break that old man's prostate. Like come on.
And the match he put on Dynamite is just evidence to support your theory.
Yeah, like that one. I get at one time you might have been the guy, but there was a moment, and he's still so over. Everybody cheering for him. So I'll go with that one. That was a little fun.
All right,
I like that.
That was it.
I like that. I like this the winging it. If anybody ever thinks that the overrated or underrateds and throw them at you, it's like nope. I literally come up with it 10 minutes during the questions. Think of ones as we're going. And just wing them at you. So that's just fun to do on the fly there. But now it's time for some AEW Dynamite.
All right. We open this show hot, Brian. We don't even get past the credits, and we already hear the cult of personality pumping through your eardrums. We've got CM Punk taking on Penta Taker.
The Penta Taker bong. He needs a big. Why not just steal the whole gimmick? Just make the big bong and the whole thing.
He might as well. He's the Mexa Taker.
This is now known as the Punk spot, I believe. He gets the opening segment, the CM Punk segment, as he opened the last 4 shows, I think. It's been crazy. He's opened a lot of these last several shows. So not sure what they're building towards. If maybe CM Punk just has somewhere to be. He's got to be in and out 8:45. He's got to grab his flight, and he's back to Chicago by 9:30. AJ Lee's picking him up at the airport before 10.
Yeah, Punk's got that power. So, yeah, he's got that opening spot, the Young Buck spot, it used to be called.
It
And now
was.
it's the Punk spot.
But the good thing about Punk is he's not abusing the spot, it doesn't feel like. He just comes out and does a Punk match. He's not going out there and trying to steal every moment. That was the problem we had with the Bucks.
Yeah, he just goes out and he does his thing and starts out with something interesting. At the beginning of this match, I wasn't very excited about it because we spend the first couple minutes of this match just with back and forth chants of Seattle Miedo CM Punk, Seattle Miedo CM Punk.
Oh, man. I think it was almost between the entrances. CM Punk's entrance isn't really that long, but between Penta Taker's entrance, like he was really taking a full Undertaker entrance with this thing. And then the Seattle Miedo CM Punk and doing it and shoving it in the face and the whole gimmick that they got to do. They were like over 5 minutes before anything happened. Like, that's a long
And
time.
yeah, reflecting back on it now, after the match was over, I was like, that match was kind of short. And I slapped the pause button on my DVR, and we were 17 and a half minutes in. And I was like, that's kind of weird. This was a 17-minute match. Yeah, we spent the first 5, 6, 7 minutes with entrances and chants.
Yeah, that was what killed it. Like, it didn't make any sense to me why they're going to use valuable airtime and wrestling time for that. But the crowd eats it up, so I'm going to guess that's why. They love that chant and being a part of the show, right? It's just, hey, they're as much as the wrestling show is the wrestling. That's what's been put in the hands of the crowd, and so they run with it.
And then we spend the next couple minutes here with just back and forth chops, and that just seems to be a trope in AEW matches now. We're going to go ahead and open the match just by slapping each other's chests for a few minutes.
Yeah,
and I get it. It's like, who's tougher, but it's just overused, overrated.
Yeah, that's overused, and it just, for me, I mean, I remember watching the chops when they do that stuff back and forth, and you're going, even younger, when you maybe still believed in pro wrestling, and it was all still real to me, damn it. But, like, you would just go, why would you stand there and let somebody punch you? Like, how tough do you think imagine that, like, just take that fight and then put it in a bar. You're at the bar hanging out, and some knuckleheads start to fight, but they don't punch each other. They just let him, all right, your turn, my turn, your turn. You go back and forth just punching each other, taking turns to prove who's stronger. Like, it's just a weird scenario.
I mean, with the slaps or the chops to the chest there, there's like a new like sport, so to speak, all over the internet now, where just two guys stand across from each other and slap each other in the face. So I don't know. I guess it's a who has more testosterone type thing.
I guess I don't have enough because I don't even want to watch it, let alone be a part of it. I'm lacking.
Right out of that, we got Punk doing a lucha move just to prove he can. He's climbs up onto the ropes there, climbs the turnbuckle, drops down to his butt, does a backflip off of the ropes, and does a clothesline or something on Pentataker here. And I'm just, at this point, between the chants, the chops, CM Punk trying to be a luchador, I was
over it.
I was over it at that point, and thank God they were able to save it.
Yeah, this match. The funny thing is I like Penta. I hate the Penta. I don't even know his new name anymore. I'm just sticking with Penta.
Oscuro, which means dark.
Penta Oscari. He's Irish now. Penta Oscuro. But it's just like a lot of the. I guess you just find yourself saying the same thing after watching the same thing. It's just a lot of the same thing. It's like you're predetermined, like no questions asked. This is a Penta match, and you're going to see these things get in, right? And it just loses me because it's like it doesn't feel like you're watching anything new. It's like seeing the same commercial over and over again, or hearing the same. Like it just becomes white noise in the world. So that's just where I'm at with Penta. I've kind of lost interest in anything he's involved in.
Yeah, but this match was something to kind of keep you interested because something that we've seen Penta do a few times. He's done it with FTR. He can adapt.
He can.
So we didn't see our normal Penta Ray Fenix match here. We saw Penta kind of adapting to CM Punk style after that little lucha spot at the beginning. But it seems like Punk, one thing that's kind of been lost in pro wrestling now is the fact that you're trying to win, and you're trying to win quick because who wants to fight for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
You fucking moron. And CM Punk still kind of holds on to that because we're pretty early in this match and he's already going for a GTS, and obviously no luck from that. And then that's when I noticed this is kind of a slower pace match and Penta's slowed down and he's being more of a wrestler to fit more with CM Punk. And then next, Brian, this one I'm still confused on. Punk goes up for a top rope spot, slips off, kind of lands funky, and he is selling the shit out of that knee, and he never stopped selling that knee the rest of the match.
Made you wonder, didn't it? Did something, I mean, obviously the match kept going. There was a finish and it kept going, so it was either selling or or he just took a good stinger in the live right there in the match. So not sure what it was. I didn't see any news speculating around that it was 100% that he hurt his knee.
Punk's just that good.
He probably is. I'm going to lean with more that he's probably that good, but it made you think while watching it. You start to go, damn, and never stopped either.
Then we got some nice action going on here. So they sped it up a little bit, but they still kept it a normal wrestling match here. Punk going for the GTS again after hitting a top rope Frankensteiner. Penta reversing into a submission. Punk reversing into an Anaconda Vice. And then we got Punk doing a springboard clothesline off the ropes here and teasing another GTS. Attempts the GTS, gets reversed into a Fear Factor. Punk escapes out of that. Penta tries to put Punk in another submission. Punk escapes out of that. Penta tries a springboard. Punk counters with a GTS, and it's a wrap. So we started off slow. We started off scared that this was going to be a crappy match. And then after a few moves here and there, it was ... like high spot, false finishes, and then boom, short but sweet. Punk wins with the GTS.
Yeah, they did bring it back. I'm not going to lie, but just Penta just kind of lost my interest over the recent months. Here's the question I have for you for CM Punk. What do they do with CM Punk? Because he's opening the show. He's done, like we said, almost the last probably 4 shows. He's opened against guys that are up and coming or good or whatever. Or, they're not just like complete no names, right? It is like when Cody had the TNT Championship and he was fighting anybody from any independent wrestling. He's fighting names in AEW, but he's not going to lose because those guys aren't going to win over Punk. So what do you do? What are they going to do with Punk? Where are they going to go with him? How are they going to move on? Because eventually this is going to get old hat, right? Seeing CM Punk every week opening the show fighting a tag team wrestler. So far he's fought at least 2 tag team wrestlers that aren't going to really go on and beat CM Punk because they're going to launch themselves into a singles career out of nowhere. I don't know. What do you do with CM Punk? You got to get a strap on him or something eventually.
Yeah, what I would do just off the top of my head is I would not as much as Brock Lesnar, but I would restrict our intake of CM Punk to keep him special. And then you can draw out whatever plans you have for him. You can draw out for fucking months. But obviously AEW is not going to do that. And I think what they're going to do, because the way they kind of promoted this match at the beginning, saying these are both top 5 competitors here, I think they're going to prematurely put the belt on Punk. And it's just going to go way too fast.
Yeah, I think what you need to do is have CM Punk not necessarily turn bad guy, because he's a great no face, right? No, not baby face. He's not heel. He's just a good CM Punk. He's kind of like a Stone Cold in that aspect. He can stand on his own and just go, I'm not fighting anymore until you give me a championship. I'm going home, and pull that gimmick again. I'm going home.
Right.
Like when he left WWE, and be like, it's a wrap. Drop some type of pipe bomb, if you will, promo, cut it on it, drop the mic, walk out, and go, when you can give me a title match, I'll come back. Until then, I'm going home. How many wins do I have to have in this company? And then, obviously he's gone for... Now, this wouldn't be a good time to do it, because they're going to have their pay-per-view here in just over a month. So that would kind of suck. That's a terrible time to do it. But it'd be for the next pay-per-view. Have him gone from double or nothing, or whatever they call this next pay-per-view coming up, I forget, all the way until the next one. A whole quarter, CM Punk's gone. If you want me, send me a title match.
Hell, have them show up to talk once in a while, just to keep them in your minds. But
email in a promo on his iPhone and play it on the screen, right? There's so much you could do, and it would make it pretty cool.
But it just seems like the way they're promoting it here, where he's just going to start blasting through all the top-ranked guys in AEW, the only logical explanation is they're going to put that belt on him pretty soon.
Yeah, with no foreplay, right? Just right to the fucking...
Yep. And it's just, you can make so much money off of the build, but TK is going to blow his load.
Yep.
And then we get this weird segment of a private jet on a airstrip here. The Jericho Appreciation Society, or 3 members of it, come out, and then just kind of weird and out of nowhere, we see Eddie Kingston and his crew in a car pulling off, and then I don't know if they fought on the airstrip, if they beat him up and put him in the car and threw him out the side door or what, but either way, 2.0, both of those dickheads are just on the floor, and they're all disheveled, and one of them's missing his shoes, and oh no, Eddie Kingston and his squad beat up 2.0, and
so
they go from daytime on an airstrip where they got jacked for their shoes, and then they're gonna fight tonight.
Yeah, but why does Jake Hager fly in an airplane without a shirt on? That was strange and weird. I didn't like that. Why did they not know that 2 of their friends weren't with them? They didn't even open the segment with saying, 2.0 is supposed to be here to pick us up. We landed. Right. They're coming to get us. Or they just were like, hey, we're here, the Jericho Appreciation Crew. So in my head, you hear that, Jericho coming off of a plane, and you hear that. Who do you assume is behind Jericho? Everybody else.
Right.
I don't know their names. Fuck them. Just everybody.
Whole jazz.
The whole crew. And so they come out, and then you go... So then I was like, okay, the whole crew's coming off a plane. Okay, what's going to happen? And then you hear Eddie Kingston and Proud and Powerful talking shit from their car, and you're going, they just drove onto an airstrip? I don't believe that's legal. You can't just do that. Go flying around. Then they leave, and I go, well, how'd those 2 guys get down there? So it wasn't even like they were supposed to be met there. It's why are they there? And then they took their shoes and everything else. And then, as we'll see later, the poor bastard couldn't find shoes at least 7 hours later.
Yeah, it was high noon when they showed up. And it's, so many questions. If 2.0 was picking them up, and you can drive cars on the landing strip there, why weren't 2.0 in a car waiting for him? So did they get kidnapped? Just so much in the air, and it's just...
Did they forget their friends weren't with them? Did they just forgot their friends weren't there? They're like, oh my God, you weren't on the airplane? Holy shit. Oh, random. Ugh. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
This whole Jericho Appreciation Society thing. Basically, anything Jericho's coming up with these days, he's just grasping for straws, just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks.
You know what's happening with Jericho right now is the Vince Russo Vince Russo writing for the WWE and during the Attitude Era was everybody praised him as being amazing, right? He had the lovers of Vince Russo. Then Vince Russo gets a big head. He gets an offer from WCW. He bounces because WCW's like, oh shit, we got the guy that wrote the Attitude Era. Well, you know what you had is you had the guy who wrote the Attitude Era, but he didn't have his filter, known as Vince McMahon, to run that idea through to make it a good idea. So then he went over there, and you had a Viagra on a pole match. You had a Judy Bagwell on a forklift match.
Yeah.
You had a guy that they called Oklahoma that was making fun of JR, dumping barbecue sauce all over people. Like, things just went nutty. So that's what we're happening with Jericho now. His ideas that he would go to Vince with, then Vince would refine them and make them good, are not being done. So Vince would have not let those holes in that story happen. Well, why is 2.0 getting beat up? Why are you supposed to be there? What's going on? How come you're on a plane and they're not? Why didn't this guy find shoes 7 hours later? like, why was there nobody there to even interview you? What was happening? What was the purpose of us videotaping you?
Yeah, and spoiler alert, a little bit of foreshadowing here. I think what Tony Khan sees in Jericho is, wow, this guy's a 30-year veteran and he was super successful. He's reinvented himself 100 times. He's got to have great ideas. So Jericho throws these ideas out.
Okay.
Tony Khan just takes them as gospel, and nobody else at the creative meeting will speak up against Jericho because he's fucking Jericho.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, we're just gonna listen to whatever this guy says. It's got to work.
Yeah, he came up with the ideas. He invented the Money in the Bank match. Did he? Or he had an idea for a ladder match and a number. You know what I'm saying? Like, he came up with some ideas that were, again, ran through WWE and Vince McMahon and then refined through, but nobody's rereading it. And this is first draft we're taking here on all these ideas. Like, let's run them through about 3 or 4 times and then, get them down nice and tidy and clean. But that's what we're not doing, and that's the problem. And that's going to be the demise of Jericho. It's going to really hurt him in the long run. If it's already not. The crowd eats it up right now. At least the AEW crowd is. So, but it's going to hurt him long run style for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. We move into our next match after this one. We've got a tag team championship match, Brian. We got the champions Jurassic Express and their challengers Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish.
I love Red Dragon.
This
I do love some Red Dragon.
I love Red Dragon, but every Jurassic Express match goes exactly the same. It's the same script, just with different high spots plugged in or different characters.
Yeah, you're definitely hitting that spot. Like, I don't think you were ever over on them like I was over with Penta, but that same thing that I was just saying. It's the same connect the dots that's happening with some of these guys across the board where you're going bing, bang, boom, got to go do this, go stand over here, I got to do my backflip. There's no audibles that can just be worked in the match.
Yeah, it's a paint by numbers match that's clearly worked out because every match is the same. Just as an example, we start out with Jungle Boy in the ring, and then we're going to go 100 miles an hour, and this shit's pretty smooth, but it's just the same spots every time, no matter whoever's in there. And to be honest, Jungle Boy and Dushasaurus, they should be letting Kylo and Bobby run this match. They should be letting them call it, but honestly, I don't think they could handle it. I don't think they could do an improv match, so to speak.
Right, and it's, again, like you said, they're the tag team champions, so we have to know we're right? So they're going to go, well, why would we not be right if we're the tag team champions? So follow our lead. And it's like, sometimes you let somebody else call it even as the champion, right?
Yeah, they just kind of had to go with it. After that first little flurry that we get every time, Kylo and Bobby take over on Dushasaurus, and they're tag teaming the big man here. And Jungle Boy gets his comeback. And then here we go with the dives. Jungle Boy hits back-to-back dives. Then Dushasaurus hits a dive. Jungle Boy hits another over the rope spot. and good old JR. I still love me some JR right here. It's Tope Suicida night, ladies and gentlemen. Kids eat free.
He did. He shit all over that, and then Tony Schiavone got all tongue-tied and lost there for a moment. He couldn't. He's like, did he just dive through the bottom rope and then the second, the third, under the third, over the? Yes, he was trying to do like an all three thing where he went through the bottom, middle, and over the top. Over the bottom, over the middle, over the top. But he got hosed up at the over the top thing, and that's when you saw Dushasaurus do his backflip following that. But it was like, cool, you just can jump. Like, and why would guys stand there for that long? You might surprise somebody with the first one, then a second one, and then a third one. Luckily, the third one didn't happen, but it still just got moved over to Luchasaurus to backflip on you.
Yeah. And then JR calling Dushasaurus Lizard Man. I just love it, man. Lizard Man was cleaning house. And the one thing Lizard Man's doing right is he's still working big. So that was a couple months ago. He switched over from trying to be a goddamn 6'7" luchador to actually working like a big man, and he's sticking with it.
Sure.
So he's working well, but these paint by number fucking tag team matches got to go.
Yeah, Luchasaurus can do those moves. I'm not going to say that he can't do those moves. He can, but he doesn't need to be his main focus. He needs to be a big, strong guy and then sprinkle in like, holy shit, he just did a shooting star press or a backflip or whatever he's doing. And then just the commentators need to lay off of the dinosaur thing. Like, we don't really believe that. I know it feels like I'm talking about Penta all night tonight. I mean, as we're podcasting here, but they don't really push that Penta is really dead and his manager now is dead and they're dark and evil. It's just like the alter ego, right? Or this thing, and it's this moment he becomes in. So just push that with Luchasaurus. This man, like takes in the draws in the power of the, like, I don't know, just you can talk about something, but like they just really say he's a trillion years old and he's a dinosaur and it's a rubber mask.
I mean, it's all tongue in cheek. I get it.
It is, but it's just so cheesy to me that they just need to reel it up a little bit on that end. It just gets so cheesy.
And when JR does it, it's just shitting on him.
Well,
so
that's fact.
Yeah.
Like, excrement always puts it over like he's a goddamn actual dinosaur. It's like, okay, get over it. Just move on.
And then, but even with the big man stuff, AEW's got to overdo it here with the double choke slams. And I get it. Kylo and Bobby aren't huge, but they're both either close to 200 pounds or slightly over 200 pounds. And no frickin' Lizard Man is going to deadlift both of them up with each hand and slam them. I hate the double choke slam. I hated it. Whoever does it, Undertaker, Kane, Dushasaurus, double choke slams got to go because they're impossible to do without help.
Yeah, I mean, even a good choke slam is damn near impossible to do without help, but it can be, can be done well and be sold. So yeah, I can stretch my imagination and suspend disbelief for the single choke slam, but you go double on me? Come on,
guy. Then we get this weird frickin' spot here. Kylo is holding this guillotine on Dushasaurus here, and he's got his legs wrapped around Douche's waist, and Douche is just bent over and just standing there, bent over with Kylo around his neck. And then we get to sit here for what seems like an eternity. I'm sure it was shorter than I thought it was, but Bobby Fish and Jungle Boy had to get set up on the top rope so that they could leapfrog over Dushasaurus and Kylo to do an avalanche falcon arrow and then go for the pin attempt. And then finally, Dushasaurus, after standing there with Kylo wrapped around his neck for 45 seconds, can power out of the move and use Kylo to break up the pin.
Yeah, the timing was a little slow on this, no questions asked, and then to just basically at the end of it, you go, that was all well and good, but if the timing was faster, it would have made more sense. That's all it was really missing. Is that like he puts him in the guillotine? They should have already been on the ropes, then went for the guillotine, went over him, and then got thrown. But like, if he was really putting a chokehold on somebody, he would have been out. Like, and then all of a sudden you can stand up and throw him. Well, then why didn't you do that before? And then why'd you let him Falcon Arrow your partner?
Yeah, you say all they missed was timing, but timing is literally the only important thing in
Well,
that one, because the timing was so bad that there's only one thought after the spot. And well, the whole reason he was standing there holding him choking was so that he could break up a pin that he knew was going to happen.
yeah,
It just throws it right in your face. This
yeah,
shit's fake, 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 fake.
yeah. I'm with you. That was just the timing was it. It could have worked then, but without the timing, the whole thing falls apart terribly. Then there's so many holes in the program and the story that it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And then, just as expected, we get our chaos spot. We got all four guys just kind of going at it, going crazy in the ring, doing spots until Jungle Boy and Dushasaurus hit the Thoracic Express and get the 1, 2, 3. And Kylo wasn't too happy about that and starts beating up the baby faces with a chair.
Sure. I actually didn't mind that. It keeps them heel, keeps them make sure you know which way they're going, even with the crowd liking Red Dragon, and because the AEW crowds get real confusing, right? They're so split down the middle, or they'll just sing along with Jericho, and then he comes out and says he hates the crowd and hates the fans, and so all that stuff, for example. So they just need to keep that lined up and go out there and hit people with chairs and say, "Fuck off."
Yeah, I get it. I'm for it. I'm for Kylo and Bobby trying to stay heel and beating up these beloved Jurassic Express boys. And then FTR come down. The top guys, I'm glad they're keeping them fresh on TV. Before I watched this episode of Dynamite, I went back and rewatched the FTR Young Bucks match. It's got to be one of the best matches that Young Bucks have ever done. That that was up there.
Was that painful
match-
to say?
The match was so good, Brian, that Jim Cornette referred to the Young Bucks throughout his entire review of the match as Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson.
Oh,
No Cucamonga Kids, no Hardley Boys, none of that.
just
No Balding Buck, no
Just-
no Hulk Bogan or whatever.
just put them all over, huh? It was good. The Corny loved it, huh?
Yeah, he's him and I agree on this one. Best Young Bucks match they've done was with FTR.
Yeah, and then so you get FTR out here, and they're showing off their straps, right? They're Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, for whatever that's worth. They're AAA Tag Team Champions, for whatever that's worth. They can't
It's
get
worth about the look of the belts, then it ain't worth shit.
The AAA ones are pretty bad looking. So they're out there strutting that, talking shit. Okay, you can be that. And then they get Red Dragons there. It's, you still got the tag team champions, Lucha Express in the ring. Then you've got Red Dragon, and then you've got FTR at the top of the ramp. And then you get the Red Dragon, FTR. They're getting in the face. You're getting a little schmaz, right? You're getting the little pie face gimmick back and forth. And then AEW in their beautiful production that they do. Let's cut to a pre-tape backstage or pre-tape whatever it was, or a promo or a commercial right there. It's like, but they didn't even go out with the commentators. They didn't go out with it kind of ending. They just in the middle of it and then never mentioned it again. They didn't go out with, oh my God, look at these guys. This, we can't have this on TV. Just anything. But this is pro wrestling, and the last thing we want on a pro wrestling show, AEW definitely never wants this on a pro wrestling show, is wrestling. They don't want anybody mad at each other. Because they will break up with 75 security guards from people fighting. No fighting on our show.
Yeah, definitely timing is AEW's forte on this episode. Literally, two of the top tag teams that we want to see fight. The minute that brawl begins, we're right into our Yuta Moxley recap pre-tape.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. It was like, what? And never come back and go, this happened, like, as our production was already set, and then, use it as some stuff to fill in the hole later with them, like, the schmaz and all that stuff. Nothing. Just, it never happened. Never speak of it again.
Yep. Yeah, on that one, you would have to. If you knew you blew it on the timing, you would have to be like, let's check out what happened. But
Yeah. Like, we're
knowing AEW, they just turned off all the cameras.
gotta save tape space.
Uh, but yeah, we get our little recap of Yuta and Moxley, and then we've got Regal, Yuta, Moxley, and Danielson in the back with Tony Schiavone here, and I believe it's next week, either next week or tonight on Rampage. That already happened. Blackpool Combat Club is going to be taking on the Gun Club. Oh yeah, that was tonight. They aired at 7:00 Eastern.
Yeah, they need to get that Rampage straightened out. I don't know why it keeps jumping around. I mean, I never watch it anyways, but it's going to make it hard for people to stay focused on, right? That it's on 9 o'clock, it's on 10 o'clock, it's on Wednesday, it won't be on until October. Who knows where these people are at?
Yeah, they seem to keep the same amount of viewers, so I think the hardcores are watching Rampage, but
That's just
because
all the
really on
DVRs.
Rampage.
That's because all the DVRs are automatic.
Yeah, you got a point on that. And then we shoot to the back, and we got Jamie Hayter just straight talking trash to Tony Storm. They are in this Owen Hart Classic, and Tony Storm doesn't say a word. She won't even give Jamie Hayter the satisfaction of hearing a breath come out of her vocal cords here. And this just left me with one question, Brian. Why is WWE and AEW doing this, just shitting all over the legacy of these Hall of Fame top level stars? AEW doing the Owen Hart Classic with just a shitty women's tournament that nobody cares about. And then we got NXT doing the Dusty Cup, and it's basically the same thing. It's just all these undercard female talent, and then you're going to associate Dusty Rhodes and Owen Hart with these shitty tournaments that have to be the lowest rated segments of any show.
Yeah. I got nothing. And don't forget, I believe AEW is going to do the Owen Hart Classic tournament in a men's one as well following this, which will be the same thing with middle of the road guys there. It'll be a way to get the best friends on TV and get 2.0 and Jerry Garcia and whoever else on TV.
It's just terrible. It just doesn't make any sense.
Can't deny that.
Yeah, give them the Doink the Clown or Brooklyn Brawler Cup. And at least make it feasible.
The old Mid-Carter Cup.
We go into our next match here. We got MJF taking on Captain Shawn Dean. Captain Shawn Dean in a new GI Bro gimmick, it looks like.
Yeah, GI Bro. That was, oh my God. I forgot about GI Bro.
Oh, yeah, that was Booker T's old gimmick.
Yeah.
So Shawn Dean, after I believe he just looked like a normal wrestler every other time we've seen him, haven't he?
I believe so.
But now he's really playing up his military gimmick here. But MJF, I love how creative MJF is. He's always an asshole. He's always finding a way to cheat or get over on somebody, and he can't get his jacket off. Even his buddy, Chairman Sean Spears, can't get his jacket off, and that was just a distraction so that he could jump Jimmy Dean here and get a quick start to the match. And then almost immediately, the Contron shows a pile of what seems to be dead security guards in the back, and one of them has been stripped naked.
Yeah, and boy, and then nobody can figure out why. The commentators have no idea what could have happened.
No clue, even though we've been doing this shit almost every week with the same guy beating up the same amount of security guards. At this point, why don't you just hire the SWAT team
Yeah.
to hang out in the building? But turns out it is Wardlow who beat up all those security guards and stole that guy's t-shirt because as MJF is backing up against the security rail, we see a rather large security guard with a COVID face mask on sneaks up behind MJF and he's dressed as a security guard, and that is Wardlow. Wardlow chases MJF off, no sells a chair shot from Sean Spears, and I love that spot.
Yeah.
Wardlow is so good at being a tough badass.
Yeah, he lucks out. He's kind of got like that big guy thing where it can happen, where he can be bad at selling because he wouldn't have to sell. So it's like he didn't even have to
Right.
really focus on it. It's like, well, this wouldn't have hurt, even if it's a working shot, right? And it wouldn't have hurt if it was a real one, probably. So that works out for him. They gotta tidy this up quick because this is just gonna get long and boring. It's already been about
Yeah.
3 weeks on this.
And they make an attempt later on in the show, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But either way, old Wardlow costs MJF the victory because by the time MJF is able to come out and Wardlow's already gotten held back by what seems like 18 or 19 security guards, old Bryce Rimjob here is on count 9 of a 10 count.
Oh yes. All of a sudden, this son of a
MJF
bitch knows how to count. He ain't never
all
counted.
of a sudden.
He ain't never counted to 10 one time in his life, and now Bryce Remsburg knows how to count to 10.
Yeah, MJF offers him a bribe, offers him to pay him triple what Tony Khan's paying him, and Rimsburg is just he's above that. He's not going to take a bribe on national TV here, and he counts to 10. Sean Dean wins by count out.
He is in the win column. He's going to the pay window, as JR would say, to go collect his money. That's what sends him that's what keeps food on the table in the Dean household. It's count out matches from MJF.
He beat a top guy. And then Brian, we go into a Darby Allin vignette, and it's
These
black
things-
and white, and he's skateboarding down the street, and I was confused because the whole time he's skateboarding, you're a DJ. You've DJ'd 172,000 weddings. Was that not wedding music? Like bride walking down to the altar,
Yeah.
wedding music as he's skateboarding. And then he challenges Andrade to a coffin match. I think whoever was in charge of putting sound on that meant to type in funeral, but ended up typing in wedding.
Yeah, they definitely were in like the YouTube royalty-free section of music that can be used at a wedding. Like, it was very strange. It just didn't fit the feel
Yeah.
of it. I don't know what they're going for, or yeah. And then a coffin match.
Brian, it's because Darby Allin does the coffin drop. Duh.
Yeah, he's not strong enough to move a coffin.
Yeah.
I just hate it.
Then we get a stupid House of Black vignette. And I don't get it. I don't get why Aleister Black is ripping off Edge's gimmick so bad.
Yeah,
It's just horseshit.
yeah. Again, Edge's gimmick's still on TV, so
No, but yeah, people are going bananas. They're saying Edge and what's his face there, the Damian Priest, saying they're ripping off House of Black and da 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 da. And yeah, whatever. He took the idea, but he made it 10 times. It's more entertaining watching Edge do it.
sure.
I'm just gonna flat out say it.
Either way, Malachi Black was still ripping off the Brood, which Edge did the first time.
Yeah.
Dark weirdos, or he's ripping off the Ministry of Darkness, or it's everything has been done once, right? We can just go back in our lives and look at all the gimmicks that have been done, and they've been done, and they'll be done again, and it's fine. Just do it you and let them do them and move on.
And we move on to our next match here. We've got 3 members of the Jericho Appreciation Society: Jericho, Hager, and Danny Garcia, taking on Santana, Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston. Jericho's theme, Brian, the Fozzy hit Judas, has went gold. Now, just to put that in perspective, Judas was released in October of 2017, so 4.5 years ago, and it has been played weekly on national TV for over 2 years. And Fozzy has a professional wrestler with a ton of money behind it promoting the shit out of it, and it just now sold 500,000 copies.
And how do you even go gold or platinum these days in the days of digital streaming, Spotify, and Apple Music? I don't even know how that
Whatever.
works
So
anymore.
many thousand streams counts as a purchase or whatever.
Oh, so every 1/10 of a cent that they get for their royalty, you get a gold record now is like that and 50 cents will get you a cup of coffee. Who gives a shit?
And it most people take this as me just shitting all over it, which I pretty much am. But because a gold record is an accomplishment.
All right.
You know, I would love to have a gold record on my wall. Tons of bands would. But to tout it like it's a huge accomplishment, when you put it into perspective, this guy's been wrestling for over 30 years. He has a ton of money. He's been touring for how long's Fozzy been together? Fucking
Yeah.
forever. Put it out an album 5 years ago, and now they just went gold. It's kind of like congrats, but it's not really a big deal, bro.
You break it down like that, you've just shit on the dreams of everybody that's ever just bought a guitar and gonna start a band and go change the world. They're all like, "Oh shit, Jericho can't do it. What the fuck chance do I have?"
If I'm a multimillionaire and I start a band and I can't sell 500,000 copies in 5 years, I think it's time to give up your dreams and find a real job.
To move on and do something different. I don't disagree, but I guess we'll let Jericho and his musical endeavors speak for themselves. Were you Were you a half confused for a second, just in the blink of an eye, until you focused and thought Eddie Kingston was wearing a Trump shirt for a third of a second, or is it just me?
I saw it said thump, but I had a brain fart. Thank God the commentators were there to fix that one. And I'm like, oh, thump, JYD. We're in New Orleans.
Yeah, paying homage to JYD for tearing the house down there 1,000,000 times in that arena. And but just in a blink, I was like, Trump, oh, thump. Like, I just reread it. I was like, why is he wearing it? I'm like, wow, he's really trying to piss the internet off, isn't he? Then the thump
That would have
thing.
been a great way to do it.
And then the thump
And,
thing. And I think this fit, like, we've been saying Eddie needs to, like, clean up his gimmick, right, or his appearance. And just that simple T-shirt cut off. He's got his singlet deal underneath. He looked fine. He's got his combat, boots on, and his fatigues that he likes to wrestle in for his pants there. And I thought that with the cut off T-shirt over top of it, I thought that was a look for Eddie. I think he's got something going there. Hopefully he sticks with something like that.
Yeah, I think it works for him. Covers up his beer gut. Ortiz still has Angelo Parker shoes, and that gets evidenced later on in this match because Angelo Parker and Fat Matt come out, and Angelo Parker is completely barefooted. He don't have shoes. He don't have socks. This is 10 hours ago at the airport. He lost them, and nobody thought maybe we should go to Walmart and get a pair of shoes.
Nobody had an extra pair. He was not the same size as anybody. There's only one size that he wears, and he's got a special foot. Like, it just didn't make any sense. Like, nobody had a pair of shoes you could borrow. He didn't slippers. He didn't wrap his feet in duct tape and wrap them in paper towel, like anything.
It's just so fucking corny. Like, oh, we really got to sell that he got his shoes stolen. We'll have him be barefoot at 10 o'clock at night. What a fucking joke.
It'd have been funnier if he would have taped, like, towels and around his feet, like duct tape something around to make shoes. Like, oh, that would have been, like, at least so dumb it was funny. Just to be like, had no shoes. He just sat backstage. with no shoes.
What a bum.
What a bum.
Santana and Jericho are brawling on the inside, and the 4 other dickheads are brawling on the outside. I kind of got to hand it to Hager and Jericho for this match. They're working better than usual. I mean, this match wasn't half bad. A lot of that credit goes to Santana and Ortiz, though. Man, them boys can work. And since Ortiz dropped that weight and Santana toned up a little bit,
Yeah.
I think Proud and Powerful are better than ever nowadays.
They're creeping on the come up for sure. This thing, these triple threat, 3-man, 6-man, whatever you want to call them, matches are very challenging in AEW, and you always go into them with a little bit of a wince, a little like I don't want to, because you just wait for straight up nonsense for 15 minutes. They're in the ring, they're on the concession stand, they're jumping off of ladders, they're here, they're there, they're everywhere, and then something happens in the ring and it's over, right? That's usually the way they go.
Yeah.
But this was pretty well organized, and they did keep it in the ring. They did work tags. I'll pause. AEW tags. We were allowing, the blindest of blind tags anywhere you wanted them and how you wanted them. But nonetheless, it just wasn't all over the place where you forget who's in the ring and they're doing, 6 guys are always in there and they're going for multiple pins and the ref's counting with 2 hands and all that shit. It wasn't all about that. It came and went, but that's going to happen, and I understand that with 6 guys.
Yeah, for the actual meat and potatoes of this match, it was pretty well. It was done quite well for a 6-man tag here. But AEW had to do what AEW do, or Jericho had to Jericho it up, however you want to say it. We got Kingston hitting a tope suicida, Santana hitting a dive, and Ortiz hitting a dive on 2.0, just back to back to back. I might catch heat on this one, but I respect Eddie Guerrero. I respect his legacy. He's a Hall of Famer. But how many times, Brian, how many times in the past few months have we seen the 3 amigos in a frog splash?
Well, I mean, we saw it twice. They did it twice in the same match at WrestleMania, where Ray went for it, and then Logan Paul did it, and then you had it this week here. And
yeah, it happens at least once a week, it seems like.
Easily. And it's a thing that just needs to be. It'll lose its special.
Right. Eventually, nobody's going to care. It's like, all right, we get it. And you're just doing it to try and get a cheap pop.
Sure, and
but,
3 suplexes where you don't let go. It's just 3 suplexes too. They're not magic.
Again, not shitting on Eddie, but everybody trying to just use his legacy for a cheap pop. It's just it's trashy. But anyway, Kingston ends up getting thrown into the ropes, and as he's bouncing off the ropes, Chris Jericho hits him in the back with a bat, and it's quick 1, 2, 3. So AEW is going to do what AEW do, and JAS beats down the baby faces per usual.
Yep, and this is another weird one where it's the baby faces aren't baby faces, but they are baby faces because the crowd sings along to the heel, and it's just a weird, right? It's you don't know which way it's going, but I guess let the crowd decide. There's no baby faces, and just have fun. It's a new world of professional wrestling.
Oh, new world. Now we're in the back with Alex Marvez and MJF, and MJF's pretty pissed. He's pretty angry at Wardlow here, and he's done keeping Wardlow off of TV. He needs to punish him. No more of this sneaking into the arena shit. MJF has the rights to book Wardlow wherever, whenever, and against whoever he wants. And MJF books the greedy little piggy Wardlow against no better match than the Butcher, Brian. A butcher meets a greedy little piggy.
Yeah. And I got it. Like, the little play on words was good. MJF set it up perfectly. He's like, I'm going to send the piggy to meet the Butcher. And you went, oh, the Butcher. And it was like, oh, okay. And then the Butcher comes in and just does this, like, puts his 2 fingers under his neck and sticks his tongue out. Ah. And then they cut off, and you were like, the fuck? Like, what was that about? Like, what does that mean?
And I agree with you on this one. I get the play on words. I love MJF's promos. He's great. He's creative. He's intelligent. But who wants to see Wardlow versus the Butcher? Who gives a shit?
I get it.
mean,
It's classic. Like, you're just going to send, like, MJF's going to hide behind everybody that's in his little crew, and he's going to send them at him to get picked off. Boom, you get the Butcher. Boom, you get the Blade. Boom, you get Shawn Spears. Boom, you get whoever else, right? And then finally you get to MJF.
But MJF had to pay Andrade El Idolio envelope full of cash.
Oh, he had to borrow the Butcher.
Yeah, he had to, like, because he paid the Jose or whatever from Andrade's crew.
That's right.
An envelope full of cash to get the Butcher. So if you're paying a whole bunch of money to get somebody to beat up Wardlow, get somebody who actually wins matches here. I get it. The Butcher looks intimidating and he's tough and whatever. Yeah. But he hasn't done anything.
Right.
We all know Wardlow's going to wipe the floor with him.
Yeah. He looks great. He's wonderful. He's lost weight. Wonderful. The Butcher's scary, mean, tattoos. I get it. But he sucks.
That's what it comes down to. He looks great, but he's booked like shit. So there's no chance in hell he's going to beat Wardlow. Unless MJF causes him to lose.
Right. And it's not. And again, if they do that, it's too early for that. They need to have the Wardlow go through a couple more guys. He hasn't wrestled now in a good month. He's been taken off TV. It's pushing 3-4 weeks now. So, all right, that was interesting enough as it was. But what else happened on this show?
I got a new favorite women's wrestler, Brian. Now that Britt Baker's been off TV for a while,
I bet you do, and I have a feeling her name is Sky Blue.
Sky Blue is a stripper in Converse All-Stars, Brian. She's wearing thigh-high stockings and underwear in the match.
She did have a very
and she got a
Bella Twins-esque style to her look there.
Yes, and a nice shapely physique. She looks like a true athlete.
Yeah.
And she put up a hell of a fight against Marina Shafir here. And the whole point of this match was to get Sky Blue on TV to bring in the male demographic, I suspect. And then just to put Cargill over because she's got all her friends. She bought all her friends tickets to just heckle Shafir here.
What do they call that?
Cargill.
What do they call that Cargill spot now? They have a name for her little section the baddies section.
Oh yeah, the baddies. Yeah, clearly it hit so hard I forgot about it already. And then for some reason, Jade Cargill. Well, A, she's wearing a onesie now for some reason. And B, she's standing in the back next to the television playing her opponent's match, but she's just ignoring it.
But she doesn't want to watch it.
She doesn't want to watch it. So why are you standing there? Go do something more productive.
In the defense of that, they were really selling it that Smart Mark Sterling was trying to say that she should be focused on this. And she wasn't. So the commentators were helping sell that a little bit that way. So I can let that slide a touch. That it was like, well, he's really selling it. And she was like, I don't care. And then, but, back to the baddie section for a second. We got Red Velvet in there who just had her whole war with Jade Cargill. So are they ever going to explain that of the jump over to Jade now being? No, they're not going to explain. They're not going to explain that Red Velveteen Rabbit is now part of the baddies section. They'll never even that'll be forgotten about in 2 weeks. So
yeah, because nothing matters. No feuds actually matter in the long run. They're baddies now.
That's
They're Cargill's baddies. Either way, Ari Shafir here wins pretty fast. And then we got Dan Lambert, Ethan Page, and Scorpio Sky. and Scorpio Sky is just talking shit about Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti and whatever. Sammy and Tay Conti, I've lost interest in them both since they joined forces.
Yeah. The funny thing was too is Dan Lambert even shit on AEW and their unfocusedness of matches. He goes, I thought Tay Conti wanted a mixed tag match like 3 weeks ago. And just kind of like laid it out there like they never did it. And I was like, oh. I thought that was kind of funny because to me, I took it as an underhanded little like again, making fun of the product a little bit, which was good. I liked it.
Yeah. Dan Lambert's pretty good. I didn't like him at first because he's such a Cornette ripoff, but you kind of need somebody to put those ideas on TV.
And it was overdone, like way overdone. It was like Cornette at 15, and now it's like Dan Lambert meets Jim Cornette at a 6, right?
Right.
And it's still that same idea, a purist version view of wrestling, but more with a Dan Lambert than a all Jim Cornette.
Right, 100%. Now we get our next match here. We got a tag team match. We got Willie Hobbs and Ricky Starks taking on Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Funny coincidence here, Brian. This is the only match on the card where every competitor in the match, all 4 guys, are black. And then AEW chooses their one black referee to referee this match. That's not a coincidence. And I'm starting to believe old Big Swole here with her racial inequality shit here. This looks like Tony Khan was like, well, fuck. What? This is a way to get 5 black people on TV at once. So I'll put them in the same match. That's it. Hot take on my end. I'm accusing Tony Khan of just putting all the black people together and giving them 10 minutes on TV and saying, are you happy now?
Well, I guess you can't say you're wrong because it's just it's clearly what happened. Now, was it intentional? I don't know.
Yeah, there's no way it wasn't. Tony Khan being the rich white guy was just, well, you're black. You'll get along with these guys that are in the ring. You guys should work pretty well together.
Do you guys know each
other? You guys
other?
all have the same skin color, so I'm sure you're all hang out outside of the business.
Y'all know each other, don't you? Isn't everybody just...
You guys are on a basketball team, right?
The thing that made this tag team match pretty interesting for me that I liked is both had the same people, or not the same people, but you had Willie Hobbs, and then you had you got me all Ricky Starks, and then so you had big guy, power guy, fast technical guy, if you will, Ricky Starks, right? And then you had a Swerve, and then you had a Keith Lee. So you had both offsetting power, and then smaller fast guys, which is a good style that you can mix up the 2 together. You can put the big powerhouses together. You can put the smaller guys together. You can offset your big and your small guys. And I think it tells a good that old Heart Foundation style.
Right.
Not kidding. Don't put it in my and don't twist my words that I said that Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs are the next Heart Foundation. I'm saying that style. You'll be quoting me for the next year and a half.
You're going to be photoshopping pictures of them in pink and black now. I can see it. But no, I agree with you. This is like almost like a weird Funhouse mirror version, where it's like, all right, yeah, I get it. This are two perfectly matched teams. And what AEW did right on this one, because AEW is very guilty of the people want it, give it to them. Give it to them 1,000%. We want to see Willie Hobbs and Keith Lee. And we only get to see them 2 monsters clash like twice. And it's like one move and it's a wrap. We don't get to see them really collide. They pair Keith Lee up with Ricky Starks, and they pair Willie Hobbs up with Swerve Strickland for the most part. Either that or we put the two little guys in the ring together.
Right, and I think that just works good. The big guys can come in and do their big moves and then get out, and put the guys that are quick that can hold the story longer, and you can go back and forth. And I think this was a good match. I thought it was weird that they put Swerve and Keith Lee together, because you're going, why are they tag teams? But it was but it worked out. It was fine.
Same reason the referee was chosen for this match, Brian. But it almost seems like here, the way Willie Hobbs starts this match, he's doing power moves to Swerve Strickland, and it's almost like he's auditioning for Keith Lee or showing off to Keith Lee or kind of puffing his chest out. I'm as good as you, Keith Lee. So I liked that aspect of this. Of Willie Hobbs, really, he's slightly smaller than Keith Lee,
Well,
and he's really trying to show Keith Lee, I'm on your level. So I like that aspect of the storytelling of this match.
sure. But what about the end of the storytelling of this match and the weirdness that kind of unfolded at the end of this thing?
Well, first I got to point out this spot, Brian. This was kind of middle of the match here. Keith Lee throws Ricky Starks and Willie Hobbs out of the ring. They immediately stand up. They just kind of no sell being thrown out of the ring. And they wait an actual eternity for Swerve Scott to climb up onto the top turnbuckle, for Keith Lee to get his chunky ass on the ring apron and lean against the ropes, and then for Swerve to bounce off the ropes and then do a backflip off of Keith Lee's chest to land onto Ricky Starks and Willie Hobbs. It was a solid 30-40 seconds from the time they got thrown out and stood up to the time they had to take that shitty backflip.
And that's when you just get back in the ring or just change it and get to what you want to do later. And
you can't just stand there for 30 seconds going, man, we can't wait to catch this guy when he jumps off Keith Lee's chest.
Yeah, that just kills the moment. I think it kills it for everybody. I think everybody sees through that. Now, do they talk about it? I don't know, but everybody has to sit there. If you're not, then I don't know what you're watching. Like, sure, they did, the move was cool. You can't take away that it wasn't, but the timing wasn't there. Try it again later.
Timing is of the essence, Brian.
It is.
And I think I just named the episode of the podcast.
I think you did. I'm going to pop my notes up right now.
But yeah, timing is everything, man. It's a cool spot, and it was clear they wanted to get their spot in, but the timing was just absolutely atrocious. And then we see it again. Another example right here. Keith Lee has Ricky Starks in the corner, takes a moment, looks over his shoulder to see that Willie Hobbs is standing behind him in the opposite corner, and then proceeds to just kind of stand there with his dick in his hand with Ricky Starks in front of him, and then wait for Willie Hobbs to run all the way across the ring and squash him against Ricky Starks. It was just kind of like, all right, I got your guy in the corner. But, yep, you're behind me. You're going to rush me? Okay, I'll just keep standing here. It would have made sense if he moved.
Everybody in their spots.
It would have made sense if he moved because, okay, this guy's behind me. He's going to rush me. I'll move. But he just continued to stand there and took Willie Hobbs' squash against the rope, the corner there.
Yeah, this is, again, calling everybody's spot. Are you there? Are you everybody where they need to be? Okay, and action. We're rolling.
And then this weird clusterfuck. We're wrapping up the end of the match. All right. So we got Keith Lee and Ricky Starks kind of finagling each other on the ropes here. Ricky Starks jumps off the ropes here, spears Keith Lee. Keith Lee is flat on his back, pulls Ricky Starks on top of him. Keith Lee is flat on his back with his arms wrapped around Ricky Starks on top of him in a very obvious pinning position. Referee's just standing in the opposite corner watching the action like he's a fucking fan eating popcorn. And then we got to wait another goddamn eternity, Brian, for who? Big Swerve Scott to climb up to the ropes and do a 450 splash onto Ricky Starks and Keith Lee here.
Yeah.
And it, it was just ridiculous.
Well, that part, you know what? That part just slipped. Maybe I wasn't paying 100% attention to the referee and what he was doing. But yeah, that sounds completely shitty. I have to go back and like rewatch it now. But what killed me too was just the whole idea of the 450 is what I was focused on. Is that like everybody got hurt in that situation.
Right.
So, and I understand it's wrestling and you want to hurt your opponent, but in the aspect of hurting your opponent, you hurt your partner, and the 450 always hurts the person who does it. So now Swerve Scott's holding his ribs. Keith Lee's holding his ribs. Whoever the hell they were pinning, Ricky Starks was holding his ribs. So the only person that's left healthy now is you've left one person on the opposing team healthy.
So the whole thing made zero sense. The referee's not doing his job. Keith Lee's holding a guy on top of him so that he can be at the bottom of a 450 splash. And then you got Swerve hurting himself on a 450.
Right. And so you're going, all of that didn't make sense to me. I spaced and missed out on the cherry on top of the referee not doing anything to make sure that everybody can get their shit in.
It was just terrible. It's sad to see so many guys in a match that I like. I haven't really caught on to Swerve yet. I mean, he was okay in NXT, but he hasn't done shit here to really make me a fan yet.
He's got a personality that's really big. It's bigger than life, so that is what really carries him for me. Is his whose house, Swerve's house, and he comes out and you go, this isn't just a guy that fell into wrestling. Like, this is a superstar. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
he has it.
He's got an it factor to him, so that helps him out. His moves that he can do are amazing, or not amazing, but pretty high flying and impressive. Will catch your eye, but again, if the timing's not there, if it's not lined up, it doesn't make sense. What else do you got for me?
Yeah, the timing just blows everything. We finally get to see Hobbs and Keith Lee squabble for a quick second, just long enough for Taz to interfere, and so that we can get a spine buster from Willie Hobbs to Keith Lee, and Willie Hobbs gets the pin on Keith Lee for the victory.
Yeah, I'll look to see these guys just keep working this out and keep pushing towards that big Keith Lee and Willie Hobbs match.
And then we shoot to the back. We got Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa and Vicky Guerrero all being catty to each other. Nyla Rose catches a cake in the face, and then we get some fake fighting. And then looks like Nyla Rose got mad for real and started using her Hulk strength to just throw Thunder Rosa into the cases back there. And man, that was brutal. I feel bad for Thunder Rosa in this spot. But yeah, that's what happened backstage with the girls.
But yeah, that's what happened backstage with the old girls, and we move on.
All right, now we are on to our main event, Brian. Our main event of our weekly biggest show in our company is for the Ring of Honor television title. Now, I'm not a ring-a-low here, so I don't know how the belts are ranked, but where does this television title rank with Ring of Honor, seeing as how Ring of Honor was defunct a month ago?
It ranks about as high as any TV title has ever ranked. Just below the Intercontinental title, just below the U.S. Championship, right? It's your TV title. The irony of the TV title is it can only be defended on TV, right?
Oh, boy.
But Ring of Honor didn't ever have a TV deal, so that was a strange idea to have.
What a sell. The guys in this match, Samoa Joe and Minoru Suzuki, who's over, but we don't really know why, as we discovered earlier. They are wrestling for this television championship that Suzuki is holding. And here we go, Brian. What a fucking snooze fest.
It had me for the first, I'll give it like 2 to 3 minutes of what they were doing, the idea of what they're doing, because that's what's made Suzuki famous. That's what made him.
He's a tough son of a bitch,
He's
right?
a tough son of a bitch. You know, his squad in New Japan, Suzuki Goon, and the whole thing, and that's what he's always done. And he's just been a bad, you know, he'll just fuck you up. Like in New Japan, you know how they have the young boys that always come out around the ring. Like he's been known
Right.
just to like beat him up before a match, and from like what I understand, like he might just shoot on you real quick. Just because you're a young boy and you're out there, he might just tie you up and put you in a fucking a move and not work it either. He's just gonna shoot on you and tie you up right there live in front of a couple thousand people. So he's just a mean asshole that makes you earn your way, and he really goes hard in that, and he really sells that strong style that he can take it. That this isn't just a bunch of bullshit. But after a while, it went too long, and then they were only claiming too. The other part that threw me on this is that Samoa Joe only had 80 pounds on Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, that caught me off guard too. He's at least twice Suzuki's weight.
Yeah, he's got a good.
I'd put Suzuki at 175 and Samoa Joe at 350.
Easy. So they're like, he's got 80 pounds. I'm like, ooh, almost like 180 pounds, but we'll let that slide.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we start this thing out with 3 full, I'm not even exaggerating. We're on 3 full minutes of just chops, back and forth chops. Then we get about a minute of forearms. And then we get a Suzuki armbar over the ropes to go into the commercial break. We come back from commercial and we're like, okay, finally, we're getting a wrestling match. And then it goes into another chop fest, Brian.
Yeah. And
It's,
I think what it is, and not to take away from Minoru Suzuki, I'm sure, the internet loves him, the AEW crowd loved him, the New Japan. I understand what he had did and all that jazz, but I don't think he can do all of that anymore, so it gets hidden with feats of strength and these, but in the idea of looking at Samoa Joe and how big he is and probably a 20-year age difference, even if
right.
that, just pick that man up and slam him down and lay on top of him and win the title. Why would you stand there and get your skin chopped off just because you want to, show that your dick's bigger? Like, I want to win. So it's just a weird aspect to look at on that, and it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and it just puts over the old man that he can take 700 chops from a 350-pound Samoan and not drop to his knee once,
Cool. Now give me a wrestling match.
Well, then we do get a little bit more wrestling. We get a bunch of submission attempts from Suzuki here, and then Joe finally hits the, in excrements words, Kaneko Bomb Buster for the win.
It's called the muscle. It's called the Muscle Buster, and don't change his name. Excrement.
Yeah, and they put over the Muscle Buster seconds before Excrement changed it to the Kaneko Bomb Buster, with 75 R's after it. I believe JR or Skiavone, most likely JR, was like, oh yeah, the the
Muscle Buster.
Muscle Buster has been a staple of Joe's repertoire or whatever.
And he calls it something else to wrap it up with. Fucking dumbass. He drives me nuts. I'll give you that one. I've agreed with you on that one 100% from the beginning that Excrement was pretty shitty. I've never disagreed with you on that one. We've had our AEW arguments, but man, he's bugged me. The mask has bugged you, and he's bugged you way worse and way more. But that one, I've never necessarily loved him.
He just has to put over that he's smart and he knows everything about every region of wrestling, and we can't just call something by what it is, a muscle buster. We got, Jimmy Kaneko did that in Thailand in 1943.
The Fujiwara armbar, because it was done by something Suzuki.
Fujiwara,
and you're going Fujiwater armbar. It's sponsored by Fujiwater.
So yeah, Excrement needs to. They got to find something else for him to do, man.
Literally, the only thing he can do is talk, and you're like, why don't you find something else for him to do? Can't he run the books or something?
Yeah, and these poor AEW fans. So we've established this before. This is what they're given. So they just like it because it's not WWE.
Yeah.
So the initial thought is we can't get rid of excrement. The fans love excrement. Well, the fans love excrement because that's what they have. Put an Ian Riccaboni in there instead of excrement,
And you'll
they'll love that. I guarantee. They'll
They'll love
protest on
that.
Reddit for about 10 minutes. They'll protest on Reddit, and then they'll be like, why the fuck did we put up with excrement for 2 years when we could have had Ian Riccaboni?
Right. Colt Cabana did a lot of commentating for Ring of Honor, and he doesn't do a lot of wrestling now. So probably give him something to do for a little bit. How about you got Mark Henry floating around? How about the big shows out there somewhere?
So take the heat for a very short period of time and take this fucking sock-faced weirdo off of TV and put someone with some actual talent in that spot, and it'll work out way better for you, Tony. This isn't a 10-minute company where you're just trying to please the fans for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a long-term thing here, and real fans aren't going to put up with that fucking idiot for much longer.
Fucking idiot. I did like how they did run it under they had the Ring of Honor announcer came out for this match. He did the ring announcing. It was run under Ring of Honor rules, which I believe the only slight different rule is that they get a 20 count versus a 10 count. But it's AEW at the end of the day anyway, so not many of them are going to count as it is. So
Yeah, it's ROH rules, but in an AEW building.
yeah, so that was I do like that they're still honoring that Ring of Honor. I don't know if they're how they can keep the brand alive. So if they're at least fighting for it for the moment, you can see a try. So we'll see if they can keep it going. But let's talk about the ending of this.
Yeah, Samoa Joe gets the pin on this one, and he's your new ROH television title winner. And then we get Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal, who we saw them a little bit earlier in the audience. They come out, congratulate Joe, and Jay Lethal opens a gift box for Joe, and it's his middle finger. It's like, I get it.
That was pretty funny. Like, they have it pop out like that to have the box empty. Like, I don't know. It was so stupid, but it was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it gave me a chuckle. And then the lights go out.
And
the lights stay out for...
We love the lights going out in AEW. Boy, do we love the lights going out in AEW.
And then the lights come on, and it's Satnam Singh, or the Wish.com Great Khali, as I think he more represents.
I was going to go with a flea market version of, I was going to say something along those lines, and I was also going to compare him to fucking dickhead.
El Gigante?
No, not even him. Who's the other guy in WWE right now?
Oh, almost.
Almost a wrestler.
Yeah, and Satnam Singh falls right into that category. And the crowd absolutely fucking hates it. Like, they're booing, but I don't think this is boo the bad guy boo, Brian. I got a completely different vibe off of these boos.
You weren't buying that they're going to obviously work it that way and sell it that way. But you think it was just like, boo, why are we going this way? Another new guy, and we're not doing anything with somebody else that we already have in the company. Boo.
And he fucking stinks, and he only does Great Khali moves so far. And you got... So the internet fucking lit Tony up for this. They fucking ate him alive. And the main thing is, why did we turn the lights out and turn them back on? If we wanted to show this guy's size, we should have had him come through the audience, or at least showed him coming down past a few people so we could see how actually big he was, work a different camera angle, which I didn't think any of that was a huge deal. We can see he's way taller than Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
But what's Cody's buddy's name? That QT Marshall was already defending Platinum Singh here by saying, oh, people are shitting all over him, saying he can't wrestle. Well, he's brand new. Give him a chance. He's got to wrestle with a lot of people to be ready. Yeah, I get that.
He should have been ready.
He shouldn't. You don't train people on live TV. Yeah, he needs to work with a lot of people to become ready, but you don't train them on live TV.
No, that's the equivalent. Then I should just be able to go get in the ring. Well, eventually I'll be all right.
Right.
I've figured a lot of stuff out in life. I can figure it out. But just give me some time. On live TV, we'll just work this thing out.
Could you imagine if, soon as Randy Orton got in the company, or John Cena or Batista, these are humongous stars, if they just put them on Raw the week they came into the company and didn't train them in OVW first?
Or not even work dark matches with him, because like Brock has dark matches under his belt. Like that was Mr. Perfect ran with that for a little bit. He's like, I beat Brock Lesnar because he beat him in a dark match. It's out there on YouTube. Look it up. So it's just like the same thing. Why wasn't he working some dark matches? I know it's the internet and you can't really have dark matches anymore, but you can do something with them. It could, you can make it a little better and a little tighter.
Give them a crew of QT Marshall and some guys Colt Cabana, guys who know how to train guys, and put them on the road for a few weeks. Have them only work with your people, but put them in little shitty independent promotions.
And just go do the rounds real quick.
Let them work in front of a crowd. Just don't tie them to AEW quite yet, and then debut them.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. Like there's gonna be a lot because this guy's gonna be miserable, and I wasn't excited about it. It didn't matter to me, and it was spoiled for me online, and I wasn't even upset that because I had to watch this late. So I saw this happen, and I went, oh. And then I didn't even realize it was the main event. So then I was like, that was the show. That's what it was all built upon. That was the center stake. It was all
built on that.
That was the center stake of the circus tent, was that guy right there. And bada boom, I didn't even know it. So I don't know.
So the internet went nuts all over Tony Khan, eating him alive. And Tony Khan did not handle that well under pressure. There's so much things he could have said. I fucked that one up. Let's move on. But he not only says that, but he's like, it wasn't my idea. It was a 30-year veteran's idea. And nobody said anything when he brought the idea up. So we just went with it.
So who's he blaming?
Who very, very recently did we have like a anniversary party for on Dynamite for his 30th year in the business? And who has so much pull in that company that nobody will stand up to him?
Jericho.
My money is 100% on Jericho.
Yeah, so he's just going to throw him out. Like, and who does that? It's not your idea. Bitch, it's your company. It's your idea at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I go to
Could you imagine?
I go to work and I do what I do, and then I do something that's an asshole move, and it goes out in public, and the boss is going, well, it wasn't me. I didn't want to do that. He did that. You pay him. You pay that. You made the decision, and you did nothing about it. So at the end of the day, you still let it go, Tony. You pushed it, and at the end of the day, you still signed off on it. If you sign off on it, boom, it's your fault, man.
Don't even sell it. Don't even go online and acknowledge, I fucked up. Who wants to sell that the internet knows wrestling better than you do? You're the billion-dollar promoter. Fucking go with it. Come up with a reason why he debuted in the dark, in Malachi Black.
It's wrestling at the end of the day. Vince and Triple H and Stephanie have never gone on and defended anything like that, like a debut. They've only defended things that their people have done that got in trouble, right? Some drinking and driving or things along those lines, or sending somebody's clothes back in a garbage bag. But you don't go on and defend it. You don't read the comments. And like I was saying, it's pro wrestling. You can just change it. It's AEW, too. They've changed everything anyways. And then even Vince has scrapped ideas. So you just come back next week and just do it different and pretend it didn't happen. Look at, they had that one goofy guy with General whoever in AEW, he runs around with Terry Crews or whatever his name is.
General Aziz or whatever.
General Aziz. So he runs around, but 3 weeks before he debuted as that, he was in Shane McMahon's Raw Underground as Big Abudu or something like that. And you're like, just change the name and switch it around. It's wrestling. Screw it. Make up a new story.
people called them out on it for about a week. They're like, General Aziz is Abu Ghraib or whatever from Shane McMahon's promotion. And it was, haha, they're idiots. And then it's just like, all right, we moved on. Now he's General Aziz.
And you just roll with it.
Hangs out with Black Panther, you know.
So, like, this is the same thing. Don't get all butthurt, because if every time you do that, you're going to knee-jerk you react yourself into a bankruptcy.
Yeah. So overall, they just blew this whole thing with Platinum Singh here. And
Platinum Singh.
so yeah, having him come out in the dark was stupid. Letting him wrestle when he doesn't know what the hell he's doing on national TV, fucking stupid. You got so many people in AEW, so many stars right now. Why prematurely put this guy on TV? Let him do some work behind the scenes.
For a title, so he attacked a guy that technically is not in AEW. He's Ring of Honor, I thought, or I was always led to believe that, and he has a Ring of Honor mid-card championship in an AEW main event. So is he going to be, is this an AEW feud that we've started, or is this a Ring of Honor feud we've started? The lines are getting blurry. Where are we at? You know, so these are things that will have to be straightened out.
Well, Tony Khan seems to think a 7'3" Indian basketball player, which that's not something to put over either. They blew that one by screaming over and over again, he was the first Indian player to be drafted in the NBA. Guess what? Basketball players aren't known for being behemoths who are super strong. They're known for being fast and lean and can jump high.
Yeah.
And that's like having a 7 foot, you're pushing him as like a 7'3" Swerve Strickland if you're really going to put over that he played basketball.
Yeah, your few giant men were your giant men. Your Shaqs were your Shaqs, but even Shaq sucked in the ring. So you're not making a big sell here, you know. So
right, football players, they're solid, they're stocky, they're known for just pressing as
Easy.
many plates as they can fit on a bar.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, basketball players are known for basically being flying squirrels.
Flying squirrel. Well, there you go. AEW. I'm going to be honest with you. Shit the bed on this episode. The whole thing was a big turd for me. I didn't care for much of it. And that about wraps up this week here. So that's the podcast, guys. Make sure you head on over to all the social media platforms like we talked about, the KayFabe Smark across the board. Like, subscribe on YouTube, do the whole thing, and then kick it over to Eric here, see if he's got anything before we get the hell out of here on a Friday night.
All right. All I got to say, Brian, is for you, Brian, for the resident snooze and pitbull, Stella Marie, and for myself, all I got to say is hooty hoo. We out the gates.